Attack on Titan final season episode 24 is out. And with this new episode, we not only get to see the return of Levi and Hange, but we actually get to see the OG, for those that are alive of course, band back together. Who would have guessed it? But before I begin, don't forget the Colossal Titan, nuke that like button and slide on into that subscribe button's DMs to hit that notification bell. And so without further ado, let's jump right into Attack on Titan final season part 2 episode 8, titled Pride. This episode opens up bringing us up to date on what Hange and Levi were up to during the events of Marley's attack on Paradis. Hange, after remorsefully disposing of the Jaegerists hunting them down, set up camp in the forest, where she patched up the heavily injured and shirtless Levi, that's one for you horny dogs, as she began to wonder what they should do next now that she and Levi are fugitives. However, her trail of thought was quickly interrupted, as she was transported to the coordinate where she heard Eren's grandiose declaration of mass genocide. Levi, after being awakened by Eren's speech, my god, even a near dead he can't escape Eren, explains how Zeke escaped his wrath to Hange, and he declares that there is no way in hell the two of them are staying out of the action. The story then jumps forwards to where the last episode left off, as we see Levi still sitting in the cart explaining to Maggot and Peak who he is, how he survived, and also how he wants to kill Zeke. Which just so happens to be exactly what Maggot and Peak want as well. Maggot, still a little sus of Levi and Hange, compliments Levi, saying that with ODM gear, he is on the same skill and power level as any of the 9 Titans. And I mean, damn right he is. But he also asks Levi what's stopping them from shooting him right now. To which Levi responds, nothing. Levi admits that he's in such a bad state right now that he can't do anything. Whether he lives or dies is entirely up to them. Admiring this moxie, Peak and Maggot decide to hear out Hange's plan and proposal. And it's here where Hange announces that Zeke is probably currently being held captive by Eren to make use of his blood, and that for them to kill Zeke and potentially stop Eren's mass genocide, you know, that whole shenanigan, they will have to work together. Following this, the story then cuts to later that night, where we see Mikasa, Jean, and Annie in their respective rooms, unable to sleep due to the noise of the Titans, and probably because of severe PTSD, Reiner sleeping like a baby, because he is one, Armin and Gabby still out on their horses, and Connie out in the forest camped with Falco. As Falco is sleeping, Connie begins to question himself and his actions, noting how Falco, the boy he is planning to kill, is not only sweet and innocent, but also how killing Falco would be going against his friends and the person his mother truly wanted him to be. In this moment of internal conflict, Connie begins to speak aloud, mentioning Sasha and his home, Ragako. And with this, the story cuts to the following day, where we see Connie and Falco arrive at Connie's family home in Ragako. Before Connie can unveil his Mama Titan, however, Falco reveals to Connie that he overheard everything he said aloud last night at the camp, and that he knows Connie was Sasha's friend, the woman who Gabby killed, and that Connie knows exactly who Falco is. Afraid of his captor's true intentions, Falco asks if the reason he was captured was for some sort of revenge against Gabby, to which Connie replies that no, he doesn't blame Falco or Gabby for Sasha's death, and he surprisingly remarks, stuff like that happens in the heat of battle. Which is not only a huge character moment for Connie, but is actually the main theme of this episode. Connie then unveils his Titan Mama and jokingly reveals to Falco that the real reason he brought him here was to help clean the Titan's teeth, which is 100% a Connie excuse if I've ever heard one. Sasha was right, this guy's an idiot. But before any Titan teeth cleaning and potential Titan munching can be done, Armin and Gabby show up on horseback and a standoff ensues between Armin and Gabby and Connie, who has pulled a sword on Falco. Armin, failing to get through to Connie with his words, thinks about Commander Erwin, God rest your soul you beautiful bastard, and decides to let his actions speak instead, deciding to climb above Mama Titan and jump into her mouth, sacrificing himself to save Falco. Although before Armin can become Titan Lunch, Connie releases Falco and flies in to save his friend's life. With the conflict over, Gabby informs Falco of the death of his brother and how he now possesses the Jaw Titan, and Connie and Armin reminisce about how they both failed to live up to the men they were meant to be. Connie, the splendid soldier his mother wanted, and Armin, the true successor to Erwin. However, in looking at the two emotional kids, you know, the one who killed his best friend and and the one who he nearly killed to save his mom, Connie announces that from here on out, he will be the person his mother wanted him to be. And he tells Armin, so let's go save those in trouble. The story then cuts over to Mikasa in the infirmary talking to a dying Luis wearing Mikasa's iconic red scarf. Luis reveals that she is dying, as there is Thunder Spear shrapnel in her stomach. So in her final moments, she decided to steal the red scarf to feel closer to Mikasa. Luis also goes on to say that she only had the pleasure of talking to Eren one time, and during that conversation, when Mikasa and the others were being held captive, he told Luis to throw out the red scarf. In hearing this shocking revelation, Mikasa demands the scarf back from the dying Luis, and she leaves in silence as Luis declares that she has no regrets, as it was an honor to die trying to follow Mikasa. Now, some of you may be thinking, Jesus Christ, Mikasa, you couldn't even let a dying woman hold onto your scarf for a little longer? But I think the reason Mikasa takes back her scarf here is because she genuinely cares about Luis, as she is trying to push Luis away the same way Eren pushed her away to keep Luis out of trouble and safe. Or I'm completely wrong and Mikasa is just a stone cold bitch who's going to use the scarf to choke Eren to death for having to put up with all of his shit. But anyway, following this, we see Floch with Jean by his side addressing the Jaegerists where Commander Pixies used to stand about the rise of their new empire. Mikasa, who is at the back of the room, claims she has no interest in joining Floch or Jean in their new rule, and then the story cuts to the streets of Paradis, where we see the people are dancing and partying through the streets, celebrating their victory in the war. Gabby, Armin, Connie and Falco are amongst the crowds eating and drinking, and as they sit down at a table, they begin to talk about how they're going to collect Reiner and Annie. However, as soon as Armin mentions Annie's name, the cloaked woman beside them begins to choke on her food, revealing herself to be none other than Annie herself. What a coincidence. Connie then breaks the ice by laughing about how Annie eats like a pig, and Annie decides to join the group in their efforts to help Falco and Gabby. Which also leaves us with the quite sad scene of Hitch arriving at the table with food for Annie, only to find her gone and a note left behind saying goodbye. Aww. Following all of this, the story cuts to later that evening, where we see Jean and Floch alongside other Jaegerists preparing to execute Yelena and Anya Capone for refusing to join ELDIA. Floch, with his men gleefully cheering him on, makes a grandiose speech about how Yelena failed with Zeke's plan and deserves to die, but he hesitates in killing her, first taking the opportunity to offer Anya Capone one last chance in swearing loyalty to ELDIA. But instead, Anya Capone calls out Jaegerists for being xenophobic bigots, and in a tearful declaration, he exclaims how he doesn't understand why them, of all people, don't see how bad indiscriminate killing really is, and he finally looks at Jean to back him up. But Jean, who has a gun pointed at Anya Capone's head, doesn't hesitate in firing off 4 bullets. However, these 4 bullets miss Anya Capone, and before anything else can be done, Peak rushes in and eats Yelena, Anya, and Jean, who pushed Falco out of Peak's way. The Jaegerists then rush to chase after Peak, but as it turns out, this was all a ploy, as with the guards distracted, Armin, Mikasa, and the others steal a bunch of supplies and weapons and ride away with carts and horses from Paradis. While escaping the city, Annie points out how a silhouetted figure in a suit has noticed their escape, but they stay riding away regardless. We then see Jean and Anya Capone in a small pool of water outside the city, washing off the stench of the cart Titan's mouth. Anya thanks Jean for saving him, and he asks Jean why he didn't just stay with the Jaegerists to maintain an easy life, to which Jean replies, "Those ashy bones would never forgive me," which is probably a reference to his old friend Marco. It's also here where we see Yelena alongside Jean and Anya Capone, as Hange alongside the car titan explains that the only reason they saved Yelena was that it was because Maggot and Peak wanted to have her alive. And with this, episode 24 comes to an end, as we see Annie and the others wake up Reiner, who is shook at the sight of his friends and ex-friends before him, as Connie, while posing dramatically as all hell, declares that it's time to get up and save the world. Overall, this was another great episode. Levi returning, albeit super beat up, was awesome. Ackerman finally filling in Irvin's shoes with his actions, willing to sacrifice himself for the cause and his friends, was beautiful. And Connie not being an asshole, letting Ackerman die for his mama, was great. Strangely enough, with all of the drama and tension in this episode, however, there was also quite a bit of humor, with Connie's stupid face and reasoning for getting Falco to enter the Titan's mouth, as well as Annie just happening to be sitting beside the group eating as they mention her name. Jean continues to solidify himself as one of my favorite characters, and with the ending of this episode and the team up of old friends, I cannot wait for the juicy drama and tension, both sexual and non-sexual, to unfold in the coming episode. But let me know what you thought of this episode. Comment your thoughts and opinions below, but remember to keep them spoiler free. If you like this video, don't forget to leave a like, and for more content like this, subscribe to the Lunchtime crew. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Plus Ultra.